Ladies and gentlemen, this is Conrad Wilton here alongside Professor James Owens, who teaches clinical management and communication. But what we're here to talk about is Mr. Owens' campaign called The World is Just a Book Away. And Professor Owens, thank you so much for being on the radio show.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So, The World is Just a Book Away. It's an excellent phrase. Tell me how you have made it a reality for thousands of children in impoverished countries, namely Indonesia.
I think this is an example of it takes a village. So although I'm the person who started The World is Just a Book Away, there are many people involved now who support it and have launched it forward. Many people, including our great board, advisory board, ambassadors, and volunteers. How did I have the idea for it?
Yeah, what was the
what planted the seed?
Exactly.
I have been working on a book. As many people tell you, if you're thinking about writing a book, think about it again, and you'll think it will take a year, and then it won't. Well, I thought it would take me a year, and I have not finished the book yet, and it's 10 years since I had the idea for a book called The World is Just a Book Away.
Right.
And I started the book even, in fact, before I had the title. And the book is about books that have inspired prominent people. Some of them you can see up on the wall there who are involved. So they range from Queen Noor of Jordan to Senator Kennedy, from Nobel Peace Prize winner Dr. Muhammad Yunus to Leonardo DiCaprio, from Cher to Buzz Aldrin.
Right.
And now there are about 90 people in the book. So there's a lot of people now. And the book kept growing and growing and growing over the years and became a bit of a... I think I don't know when to stop because I'm always in the process of being referred to someone else that I think, oh, well, that person really should be involved in the book. So what I probably should do is say eventually I'll have a, volume 1, volume 2. I haven't reached that point yet.
Maybe volume 3.
Probably, actually, you know what? Probably for the rest of my life, because it's such a passion for me to hear about how books inspired people. And the people who choose to and are able to talk to me about that topic for the book are truly passionate readers. So,
right.
And it's interesting. It's a very personal thing when people share with you the meaning of books and reading, and it often gets into their parents, their children, something that marked them in their childhood, or something they read that was epiphanous for them.
Right. Exactly.
So, I could see myself doing it for the rest of my life, volume after volume. Because I'm just interested in people and the books they read. So it actually really started because I was meeting a lot of people, and I read so much that I run out of things to read. And so I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to ask people what books they love, and then I'd have this great reading list. Now, of course, the charity has grown, and I don't have time to read as much. But so I was doing the book and working on the book, and it kept growing and growing. And then in about, I think, 2007 or early 2008, I just had this feeling that I wasn't meant to make money from the book. It wasn't the purpose of the book.
Right.
And I had always intended to give 10% to a charity that will still receive 10% of it when it's published. And then I thought, well, I could give all of the money to any charity, but the real experience now had become the connection with these people and this sort of network that was building. And I thought, really, that's the more important part even than just the book, because it's so many people interconnected who could work together to help children.
Right. And that's exactly what it's become. You're helping thousands of children in Indonesia.
Yes.
How old are these children?
Their ages, there's classes 1 through 6.
Okay.
So I suppose that's about 6 years old to 11 or 12 years old.
Now, are these simple books that you're distributing?
Mm-hmm. They're books that are chosen by the children,
right.
First and foremost.
They choose it. Wow.
First and foremost. It's very important to me and to the board that the children are intrinsically involved in the process. So we held focus groups with boys and girls separately, and then separate age groups. And we brought in catalogs, and we asked the children, what do you want to read? And, of course, they're children, right? So you have Winnie the Pooh and Cinderella and the Indonesian version.
And, yes, exactly. I was just about to ask that. Yeah. English wouldn't do them all that much credit.
Except they really want English books, and we just haven't figured out that financial model yet because it's so much more expensive for us to get the English books there.
Right, exactly.
That will be a next phase. And interestingly, the most popular book seems to be Titanic. They're obsessed with Titanic.
Wow. Better than the movie, I suppose, huh?
Well, because what you find is one person might have a television, and then 200 people watch that television, and they watch movies, of course, and so they've seen Titanic. So that's a very popular book. But, Winnie the Pooh, and they love Benjamin Franklin and their own Indonesian heroes, and there are books about the pyramids and dinosaurs and volcanoes. And what I would like to say, Conrad, really touched me about this situation, and I kept on asking my interpreter when I first started this if I was understanding correctly, and he said to me they have never seen a book like this. They've never seen a book with pictures. And I kept on saying, do you mean they have never owned one? And he said, no, they've never seen one. So they never actually had held these kind of books that are appealing visually and appealing to read about fun topics. They had seen school textbooks. And that's been a wonderful thing to experience, the joy in the children's faces as they get to
take a look at and read for pleasure. A lot of students, a lot of times books are associated with exams and work and SATs and LSATs and all that great stuff. But at the end of the day, books can also be fun. And I think sometimes even in, in the Western world, we are so trained that books are, got to study, you got to take notes and all that stuff, that when it comes time to read for pleasure, one, you don't have time to do it anyway, unless you're going to try to do it over the summer. But at the end of the day, it sort of gets lost. And I think that you're sort of bringing the magic back to the books, which is awesome.
Well, thank you. And there, again, are a lot of people involved in that process. But you use the term magic with books,
right,
linking those two words.
Right.
And for me, it is magic. And I don't know where my life would be. It's impossible for me to visualize my life without books. So to be part of an organization that provides that opportunity to children is very important and has been life-altering for me.
Now, do you feel that this is an instance where education can be used to escape poverty? Is that somewhat of the goal, or is it more so just to give them the pleasure of reading and access to these types of books?
Let me say that in starting the organization, that was not my goal, but it is my belief. I believe that education is the enemy of poverty and the enemy of hatred also. Right. And that if people have access to knowledge, they can do anything in the world if they have access to knowledge and support. And that would be my wish for the children. I really view it as really more about hope, giving them something very positive to focus on and hope for, because they live in some of them are in very impoverished, very difficult circumstances.
And they wouldn't get access to these types of books otherwise. No. So do they recognize that this is coming from USC? Do they know what USC, or your affiliation with USC, do they know what it means? Do we know that we are a university here, or it's just three letters that sound nice?
Interestingly, the alumni in Indonesia, who are very influential, and it's a large group, have been extremely supportive of The World Is Just a Book Away. In fact, probably the largest, I'm saying probably because I don't know definitively, but certainly one of the largest alumni gatherings in Asia last year was in Indonesia. It was 600 or 700 people at the gala event that the alumni in Indonesia held, and it benefited The World Is Just a Book Away, and I was asked to go and speak at this event. And very strong supporters of this. So we have libraries that we're naming in honor of what they call AUSCI, AUSCI, Alumni USC in Indonesia. Mm-hmm. And we also named our largest project, which is our mobile library, the first mobile library we launched, which reaches 6,000 children, is the World Is Just a Book Away alumni of USC in Indonesia mobile library. So our largest library is actually named in honor of the USC alumni, our largest project.
Wow. Do you think that maybe one day you'll find some of these students, some of these children become students here at USC, say, hey, Mr. Owens?
Well, if I'm around by then.
Aren't you the book guy?
You're talking about, I don't know. It would be amazing. And I think that would be a wonderful circle to observe, especially if that person went back to Indonesia and continued to give back. I certainly think it's possible. Where will The World Is Just a Book Away go? Will there eventually be scholarships? Will there be libraries for older children? I don't know. I think it's all within the realm of the possible. But I do firmly believe that in helping to plant this seed early on, it creates much more likelihood of that happening. They certainly have heard of USC now because
Right.
it's mentioned in every time I'm introduced at a library or we have an opening, and how supportive the Trojan
name
family's
recognition,
been of
I'm
this.
sure. As they get older, they won't forget it. So, excellent.
I hope so.
Well, Professor Owens, thanks so much for being on the radio show and for launching this awesome campaign. Next time I pick up a book, I'm going to think twice about it. So.
Thank you very much, Conrad.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure.